Spencer's morning went to hell when some asshole on a dirt bike swerved in front of Mom's Subaru. Mom slammed on the brakes and flung her arm across Spencer's chest, despite the fact that he was wearing a seatbelt, and even if he weren't, it's not like her arm would keep him from hurtling through the windshield and becoming sausage meat. At least she'd already finished her coffee. The last thing he needed was to spend all day smelling like the inside of a Starbucks. Is everyone okay? Mom twisted around to check on Theo in the back seat, but his eyes remained glued to the nature show playing on his tablet. Spencer was impressed by how nothing seemed to faze his little brother. Maybe we save the vehicular manslaughter for tomorrow, said Spencer. He didn't want to be known as the kid whose mom ran over someone at drop-off. He wasn't sure he wanted to be known as anything. As far as he was concerned, the less he stood out, the better. Mom ignored him as she steered the car more carefully up the tree-lined drive and parked at the curb. Promise me you'll make an effort today. Talk to people. Smile sometimes. She tugged on one of his earbuds, pulling it out of his ear. A muffled da-da-da-dun, da-da-da-dun from the song he was listening to trickled out into the car. It wouldn't kill you to be more social. It might. Mom's jaw clenched. That's not funny, Spencer. Not after last year. Too soon? Said Spencer. If he turned it into a joke, he could pretend that he didn't still wake up in the middle of the night, heart racing, drenched in sweat, thinking about the incident. He called it the incident, so he wouldn't have to remember it all in excruciating detail. The threatening email, the picture of his face in crosshairs stuffed in his locker, the call to the school that prompted a lockdown, huddling in the corner of a dark classroom, the cold tile leaching heat from his body, and knowing that if someone got hurt, it would be all his fault. I'm serious, Spence. We don't have other options if this doesn't work. I know. I'm sorry. The back of his neck grew hot and prickly, like it had whenever he was awakened in the small hours of the day by the creak of the staircase. As Dad crept up to bed after spending all night preparing for the extra college courses he was teaching that summer to pay for Spencer's tuition. Even with the extra work, it didn't take a math genius to figure out that Dad's paycheck was barely enough to send one kid to private school, let alone two. So after 2 years in a Montessori program, his little brother, Theo, who was autistic, had to go to public school for the first time. Theo had spent his summer stretched out on the living room carpet in front of the TV, watching anything and everything with the word planet in the title. Spencer wasn't sure how well an encyclopedic knowledge of the mating behavior of amphibians, called amplexus, according to Theo, would go over with other 8-year-olds. Hey, what's with the face? Asked Mom. This is going to be a great year for both of you, she added, reaching around to pat Theo on the knee. Spencer picked his backpack up off the floor and squeezed it to his chest. He reached out to open the door when Mom said, Are you sure you want to keep that there? She pointed at the I'm here, I'm queer, get over it pin on the front pocket. Spencer's fingers brushed over the pin. He'd had the same conversation with Aiden over the phone last night. Think of it as a test, Aiden had said. If someone makes a big deal out of it, you'll know to steer clear. Besides, how else will you find the other queers? I'm just saying, continued Mom. It's a bit provocative for your day one. Why don't you wait and see how the QSA meeting goes first? That's today, right? Spencer nibbled his bottom lip. Last night, he had agreed with Aiden, but now, seeing the glittery rainbow letter sparkling in broad daylight, the idea of walking into the building with it on felt like sticking a target on his back. Sure, Oakley might brag about being the most liberal school in the county. After all, that's why they'd chosen it. But it was still in rural Ohio, where just that morning they'd passed by half a dozen churches, one of which had a sign that said, Don't be so open-minded, your brains fall out. He undid the clasp and tucked the pin in his backpack, hoping Aiden didn't ask him about it when they debriefed after school.